Hello, I'm Peter Lancet. Welcome to the Lancet Hypnosis Podcast, where we'll be looking at all things related to trance work, transformation, and anything and everything that can help you change and transform your life to become the ideal you. Okay, that's who we are, so let's get this show on the road. Today we're going to talk about procrastination and motivation, words that are two opposite ends of the spectrum. And I have with me a guest, Alice Flannagan, I'm in England and she's in Brisbane, Australia, so you can imagine what the time difference is like for us. It's very early in the morning here, it's still dark, and Alice, of course, is in the middle of the day and enjoying life. Alice is someone who explores alternate realities, non-ordinary realities, and altered states of consciousness. I've done podcast series with Alice. We did one a couple of years ago where we deconstructed a truly great book by the mathematician and occultist P.D. Uspensky, and the book's called Tertium Organum, if anybody's interested. Oh my goodness, how he goes into alternate realities and the mathematical explanations of it. There was a lot of ranting and raving in those podcasts, so you might find it amusing if you find it. You'll see a link to access them in the description of this particular podcast if you're interested. I mean, it is interesting stuff that P.D. Uspensky did give us, and he was a great mathematician, a truly great mathematician, and also one of the deep occultists of the early 20th century. So that's who we have here. So say hello, Alice, to let everybody know you're here.
Yeah, hello, everybody. And then hello, Pete. I'm really happy to be on this podcast where you are the one driving the podcast and doing all the editing, and I don't have to do it.
Well, I'm not going to do any editing. I mean, it's going to go out as we say it, so let's be careful. Let's be careful out there. No, it's great. So, talking about motivation, how about this? I've been thinking about doing podcasts for a few years. I mean, after we did the ones with you, and guess what? Never got around to doing it. Procrastinated, and something happened to me about 4 or 5 months ago that changed a lot of things for me. And I found out, hang on, I am motivated to do this, and this. I'm doing a trek up to Mount Everest Base Camp later this year. I've wanted to do it for years, procrastinated. Something has changed. Some trigger, some switch within me changed, and I found the motivation. And motivation is the key to overcoming procrastination. But it's not quite that simple. And we'll talk about that as we go through, because procrastination tends to hold us back. Wouldn't you say that, Alice?
Yeah, and I think, I'd just like to just make sure we're talking about the same thing, because there's a difference, isn't there, between procrastinating and prioritizing. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. And to me, procrastinating comes with an emotion, and for me, it's an emotion of guilt. I should be doing this, but I'm not, and I'm going to put it off and do something I'd rather do. But that comes at a cost, because all the while I'm feeling a bit guilty that I should be doing the other. Whereas prioritizing is different. I've made a plan, and that's more important, so that gets done first, and I don't feel guilty about the things in the queue.
Okay, that's a very, very interesting way of looking at it too. But we can go a little bit deeper, and we can say, why do you feel guilty? And we can ask the question, okay, what is it within me that's bringing out this idea of guilt because of procrastination? With goals, and we've talked about goals in previous podcasts. I did one with Julie Grint and so on. And goals are great if they're the right goal for you. We tend to procrastinate because we don't really want to do the things. Now, it could be that we want to reach the goal, but we don't want to take the steps that are necessary, that we think are necessary to make that goal. And we need to check that out, because if the steps don't speak to us in a way that makes us want to go, whoa, let's do that, then you have to look into it and see, is the goal really right for me? Or is it the steps that I believe that I need to take that are holding me back? And are there other ways I could get to that goal? Have I asked myself that? So you really need to go deep inside and discover whether or not what you want to do and what you're procrastinating about is something that maps with your true purpose. Your true purpose. What do I want to be? And remember in the previous podcast, Al, I think, which I know you listened to, the one that I did with Julie Grin, where we talked about goals. The real idea is to find out, when I reach that goal, what will it do for me? What will I get from it? Will I feel respected, loved? Will I have an exciting life? All these things, could be, with everybody, we're all different and unique. But whatever it is that you feel that goal will give you, check in with your inner self and find out, is that who I really want to be?
I think too, Pete, I think it's not just goals, isn't it? Sometimes for example, I want to make money to then go and do the things I want to do. And to make money, I might be given a job that I don't really like doing. Say, I might be, someone says, "Well, go and mow my lawn and I'll give you $50. I want the $50. That's the goal. Mm-hmm. But I don't want to mow the lawn. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so
I do. Well, you won't procrastinate about that, will you? Because you need the money to do the goal.
Well, you could say, I'll do it tomorrow until you get to the point where you really do need the money. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.
Procrastination. The procrastination sometimes.
In which case, that step is not the right step. It is not in line with your true purpose. You've got to discover other ways of doing it. Now, you can do. You have an unconscious mind that I've mentioned before, that has access to limitless resources. When I say limitless, I mean limitless. There will be other ways of getting that $50 rather than mowing somebody's lawn.
Or is there some way of, I'm just shooting the breeze on this one, is there some way of changing your subconsciousness, its resistance to it, by realigning that mowing the lawn with, say, another goal? I want to get fit.
Spot on. That's absolutely what you can do. If you know how to do it, you can realign you can change the blueprint. Your unconscious mind has this blueprint for you. It wants you to be safe, well protected, and happy at all times. It wants you to be safe, well protected, happy at all times. That's the blueprint it has. That's its goals for you. And it's got lots of ways that it's been programmed by you unconsciously to get you to be safe, well protected, and happy. And you're going to have to change one or two of those. So you've got to learn how to do that. I mean, there are loads and loads of techniques. I teach self-hypnosis because this is what we're talking about. Self-hypnosis. Yeah. I'm going to do a podcast about trance and what do we mean by trance and hypnosis and everything very, very shortly. But this is what we're talking about. You have to learn how to do that unconscious programming. There are techniques. There are lots of self-hypnosis programs out there. Some of them are great. Some of them are absolute rubbish. I do know how to make it work. And I do have a program myself. I'm not suggesting that everybody should come to me for that program and for that. But I always give my clients, always, no matter what they've come to me for, self-hypnosis tools for them to take away, because that's what will really instill a change in that unconscious blueprint and literally transform their lives. It's like an alchemical process. So we can do that. You can change it. You're right. We can change that. I would say, though, and tell me what you think about this, you can actually say, are there ways, asking your unconscious mind, are there ways to make this job of mowing the grass make me feel really good? Are there things that are exciting about doing that particular job that have got nothing to do with looking at the end goal, but the job itself? Are there aspects of it that I can enjoy? How many aspects of it can I enjoy? Tell me as many as you can. Your unconscious mind will start going and looking for them.
And I think that's the
There are
key,
lots of
isn't it?
things like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not the thinking of them. It's not sitting there thinking of them. It's asking your subconscious, and you'll get these little gems
Yeah.
of inspiration. Because the conscious, like the brain, it's dead set against mowing the lawn, because really, would you not be rather sitting down and relaxing on the lounge?
Yeah. Well, I've obviously, I mean, I've looked at this in many, many ways, and there are things that we can look at. You can look at the bigger picture, the end goal that you're aiming for, that you needed the money for, and you've been offered this opportunity to mow lawns. But sometimes there is a pushback. Like you said, I mean, you may not, mowing the lawns for money may not be making you feel good. You've got to actually go deep inside and say, what feeling do I get when I think about getting up, putting the lawnmower in the car, driving over there and doing that, and just for $50? And you've got to ask yourself, what feeling do I get? What feeling? If you cannot make that feeling feel good, if it feels bad, then that's not a step that you want to take. And at this point, the steps that you've got to get to that end goal, you have to start treating them as goals in themselves. In other words, okay, to get to that end goal, I need to make money. I've been offered this opportunity to mow lawns, but it feels terrible. You're going to have to ask your unconscious mind, come up with other ways of making money, or find the ways to make this particular step feel really good and exciting and motivated. You'll know something when you want to do something, because when you do this exercise and feel where it is inside you, the feeling that you get when you really focus on that step, if it doesn't feel exciting, it isn't for you. It's not in line with your true purpose, your true goal.
Yeah, and that's the thing, the feeling, isn't it? It's that's the big clue. And that feeling for me is in the gut. It's like a resistance, a tummy turn, and it's, oh, I really don't want to do this. I mean, there are things that I like my annual tax, and I think, oh, I don't want to do this, but you really have to. But then I go, okay, I'm giving myself an hour, and I sit down and I go, at the end of it, I'll feel great, and I do.
Yeah.
But I think the other thing too is, because of that feeling, because that is a job you can't not do, you have to do it, but you get that feeling, I don't want to do this, right? That makes you start thinking, okay, how do I going to make this 1 hour in a year easier? And then that motivates you to think, well, if I kept my records better, if I was more organized and filed them better, when I came to this terrible hour, I would just have them there ready to pull in, instead of trying to find them all over the place in boxes. Yeah. So you start motivating yourself to do better, to set yourself up for the job that you don't really want to do, to make it less of a chore. That's
also, this is interesting, something that you said early in that example, is that when you've done it, you feel great.
You feel, and do you know what the other feeling is?
No,
you feel like, why was I worried about it?
Yeah, focus on this. This is the way you make that work. You focus on that feeling.
Yes.
So doing tax makes me feel like this. Doing my tax, because I'm going to tell you, I had that lined up as one of the things I was going to mention in this.
Are you procrastinating on that, Pete?
Oh, let me tell you something. Now here, obviously, the tax year here ends on April the 5th. Don't ask why. It goes back to the 17th century. There's some stupid reason, but it's April the 5th that our tax year ends and the new tax year begins. And in April, I've got everything in line. I haven't got a complicated business. I just don't. It's simple. It really is dead simple. And every year I say, this year, I'm going to have my tax return done before the end of April, because I've got until January of the following year to get it put in.
Yeah.
And I keep saying, this year I'll have it done by April, so it's not sitting like a burden on my shoulder. I won't think about it every month. Oh, God, I must remember to do the tax this year. And you know what? Do you know how many times I've actually done it in April? Never. Not once. Never. And usually in December I get it done, which is like a month before the end of the thing. But
So what motivates you in December, the deadline, the looming deadline?
well, what I think it makes me do it in December is because I feel really horrible once I start ticking down the clock in that last month. It's like, if I can get it done before the end of this year, I know that when they start sending me emails, which, by the way, the tax department does, it's constantly, you haven't done your tax. You know that you got to do your tax return by now, blah, 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 blah. We can give you help, blah, blah. But when they send me their returns, they won't trigger me into feeling bad. So that's why I end up doing it when I do.
So you're procrastinating, and you have it should motivate you, knowing that this 6 months of torture that you subject yourself to with those emails coming. So that's obviously not enough motivation to make.
No, it's not. It's not, and that's the thing. It's two things are fighting each other there. I don't want to do it. For one.
Not like said everyone in the whole world. Yeah.
And the thing is, I'll feel better when I do it, but is that feeling of feeling better stronger than the feeling of resistance?
Of putting it off.
The problem with tax is, and this is why I wanted to talk about tax, so I'm glad you brought it up, is this is one of the things, there's nothing we can do about it. Because you know what, the alternative is to not doing tax in this country, and probably in yours, and probably in most people's, prison. Prison is the alternative.
Well, yes, and a world of pain that comes up before that.
and I think that I've decided, and I think most of us do, that even if we don't like doing our tax return,
we will do it. That's motivating.
We prefer to do that. The motivation is don't go to prison, or don't have a massive fine, or whatever it is that they do to you. So this is the thing. There are things that you. Even that, though, I would say that even though it's a goal that we have to achieve is to do our taxes and do our tax return, and it's one that doesn't align with me, I have to say, it just doesn't align with my true purpose. What I can do, though, is to ask my unconscious mind, I can program my unconscious mind to make that process feel better and feel happy. Remember, don't set goals, or don't even set the steps to get towards goals when you're feeling bad, because your unconscious mind then latches that feeling of feeling bad with doing that work, and then you will always procrastinate. Set the goal, whether it's the final goal or whether it's the steps you need to take when you're in a feeling of greatness. Go down inside, feel your true purpose, align that with the final goal. That makes sense, right? And that feeling that you get of the final goal, wow, I feel great. That's when you then blueprint, you change the blueprint, your unconscious mind. Yeah, I like feeling like this when I do that. Keep telling you, you're going to need to program it. I said in the last podcast, at least 21 days. Some people take longer and longer. You'll just keep programming it. You'll keep telling it. There are ways of doing that. So, but that's procrastination usually is because what you feel that you've got to do is not in line with your true purpose, what you really want, the person you want to be, what you want to be, and where you want to be in life. So that usually is the reason that we procrastinate. People think, oh, I'm a procrastinator. Well, start having a look at the aspects of your life that you are procrastinating about, and change them and say, well, I don't want to do that at all. I'll think of something. I'll find something else.
what do you think of the technique of just plowing in and anything that you have to do or a goal you want and you're procrastinating
What, using
is to
willpower?
just, sorry.
Using willpower to do it.
Well, it's, like in Macbeth, when he was told to screw his courage to the sticking point, where you just get there and you go, I'm doing it
Okay.
today, and you
Yeah.
go and do it.
Yeah. Okay. That's a great analogy. So Macbeth. So yeah, I'm getting the sticking point, and he goes and does it. Let me ask you a question. You've seen the play, obviously. How,
It
how does that turn out
didn't
for
work
you?
out well for him.
Did it? Eh? So plowing on, doing things that you really don't like the idea of and not doing them won't always turn out well. And you'll also need um, to find that the end goal that you're going for is in alignment with who you really are. What's your true
Yeah.
purpose? If I do the sticking point thing and I kill King Malcolm and I become king, does that give
Was a
me?
goal, but then
Yeah.
again,
But now I've reached that goal. Do you know you get this all the time from people? I became a movie star. Well, there's so many horrible things about it, and blah blah blah. People coming up to me all the. So you achieved the goal that you wanted to achieve, and it hasn't made you happy. There are lots of times. I use movie stars as an example, but because they're in the papers, you'll read about
mm,
them all the time. There are miserable movie stars, and everybody says, "Look at them, all that success, all that money, and they're still miserable all the time. How could that be? Oh, I've got no respect for them." But you should have respect for them. What they never did was they fought like crazy or spotted the opportunities and did what was necessary, and they've ended up there as an A-lister, and they're not enjoying it. The reason being is that they thought that being a movie star would give them all the things that they wanted in life, but it turns out it hasn't mapped to what the inner true purpose of their life has been that would have given them something different. It's you can plow on and push through and then go, well, I mean, heck, I've got all this money
yes.
and all of this, and I'm not happy. I mean, you look at how many of them haven't been over the years. Cary Grant used to go to see psychiatrists all the time. He ended up doing like tons of LSD as well because that was in the 1950s because that's what they gave him. But he was seeing people all the time. Woody Allen's a great one, isn't he? Does he ever not see a psychiatrist? I think he's got one sewed to him, hasn't he? But they're not always like happy. There are some that are, but there are plenty that are not, and they're good examples because we see them. We know that happens.
So it's setting a goal, and it is that time of year. We're well into the first month has gone, and our
This is
goals
why
are probably
this is why
falling
most
over
movies
by
fail.
now.
Yeah,
I
they
wanted
do.
to be slim by now, and guess what? Hasn't quite happened because I've kept on eating because I keep on procrastinating the starting of the better eating. But
Yeah,
but the thing is, I think there's a I think there's a fine line between telling yourself, I've got a goal and I'm going to start it here, deadline, here it goes, and waiting for like setting the goal, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, and waiting for the moment it feels right.
no.
Um,
If you've
you
got to
don't
wait for
think?
the moment it feels right, it's not for you. It just isn't for you. If you aren't motivated, if you don't get that feeling inside of excitement and wanting to do it, then it's not for you. Now, for years, I could have done all the hiking that I do now. Once I'd got to Mount Everest, this idea that okay, I've booked, I'm paying, I'm going on to Mount Everest. I'm going to trek up to 18,000 feet, which is more than it's about 2/3 of the way up the damn mountain. It's a heck of a trek, and a lot of people don't make it. You have to train. You've got to be fit. You've got to do this. You've got to know how to do go up inclines and do long days of that in no oxygen. Yeah, you're only going to have 50% of the oxygen in the air at that height. So a lot of people
Mm.
get mountain sickness and all this. You read all about it. Did I still want to go? Oh, God damn, yeah. I really need to be amongst those mountains. I want to be there. But I've got to now start doing these like hikes. Well, I haven't been doing them. Do I want to do them? Yeah, okay. But what I found out was that once I got all my hiking kit on and everything, I felt brilliant. I wanted to do it. I could march for like 20 miles a day. I mean, I'd just been up to Glencoe in Scotland, and the weather was horrific. We had gusts of wind of up to 80 miles an hour. And me and my goddaughter and her dad, my friend, we were up there in these howling gales and things. We didn't sit in the hotels sipping whiskey. We went out and did it. And we were some of the hiking we went on, it was sheer rock faces.
One gust of wind blew you over.
Yeah,
remember?
That's right. I have never had that in my life. I've always thought this is ridiculous. A wind won't blow you over because it'll just go through you. Yeah, it literally knocked me over. But we still went up. We were carrying on, and I was laughing and I was enjoying every second of it. So, that told me. I mean, if I needed telling, that told me that going up to Mount Everest as a goal that I'd had for years and years and years is something that I could have started earlier. It's fantastic. And going on these hikes, these training hikes, I shouldn't even call them training hikes now, because the training part of it is neither here nor there. I just enjoy doing it. I like having my boots on and all the gear that I've got and a compass in my pocket and maps and God knows what. I love it.
So you set yourself up for the part, like before you've got all the gear, no motivation to do these hikes, but you set yourself up to dress like and be the hiker, and then suddenly that motivated you into, well, hang on, I look like one, I feel like one, I'm going to be one.
Yeah, and that literally is it now, and there are hiking clubs and things that I could join. I'm not going to join one because they are too slow. Yeah. I'm marching like I'm in the army, often I do wear a camouflage jacket, an army camouflage jacket as well. I put a backpack on with a lot of weight in it, and I'm going for it. And it's not everybody's cup of tea. Anybody listening to this, it's not what we'd all want to do. But for me, it is. So the steps that I need to take to get to my final goal, which is Everest Base Camp and Gokyo Lake and being at that altitude, the goal, it's there. It's going to be achievable. But I'm enjoying the steps that I need to take to get there. I'm really enjoying them. So I've got everything in alignment, and I check in on myself, and there's the feeling I have deep inside at my core going, wow, great, motivated. Get your boots on, go walking, mate. Now I have a problem if I don't.
The goal is a set of little goals as well. Your big goal suddenly became little goals. Today I'm going to do that.
That's it. I'm going to do that. And now I feel terrible if I don't go out walking on some days. I don't need to go every day to train, but some days I feel like this itch. I want to go. I'm really motivated to do it. Yeah.
So procrastination and motivation, they feel like one is the antidote of the other.
It feels like it, but I think that you'll discover that if you're procrastinating, what you can discover is that you're procrastinating because the thing that you think you want to do isn't in alignment with what you truly want deep inside. You've got to discover that. There are ways and techniques of discovering that. Like I said, I teach people this stuff all the time. You come to me with fear of flying. I'm going to teach you how to make sure that nothing like that ever happens again. And then the techniques I give you, you can use on other things in your life too. They're very general for you. Or if you just want to come to me for the self-hypnosis program, I'll teach it. But there are lots of people out there that do it. Like I said, some are great. Some don't look. They don't feel right to me. I can't believe that they ever work, but some will. And I definitely have something very special. And people walk away with it.
So if you were suffering from procrastination, and you came, let's say, to you as a hypnotherapist.
People do.
Yeah, which they do. So they've come to you and said, I want to not procrastinate. So it mightn't be a specific thing. It could be just in general, I want to stop procrastinating.
Usually
Like
people
that.
say that, but what we have to do is we have to dig deep and say, okay, I want a list of the things that you're procrastinating with. And when they say everything, I say, okay, just start telling me which things they are.
Mm.
Believe me, usually they run out after 4 or 5.
And it won't be everything, because I bet you
It's
anything in
not
life
everything. It's
they
not
don't
everything.
procrastinate about going out to the pub with their mates. You
No,
know what
no,
I mean?
that's exactly my point. People will quite often say, "But I procrastinate about everything." Well, you get up in the morning and put your clothes on, don't you? You
Yeah,
do.
and
If
that's
you if you
that's the
work for
thing.
if you work for a living and you have to go to your day job, you do. You get out of bed, you get dressed, and off you go. So you don't procrastinate about
Yeah.
everything. And if
So
there's
if
something you want to watch, oh, I want to go to this rock concert. I've got to go. Well, on the day of the concert, you don't sit at home, do you? You think, oh, yeah, I suppose I'd better get ready to go out. Oh, I've just spent 200 quid on this ticket to go and see the Rolling Stones, but I don't. Oh, can I be bothered? You don't do that, do you? Because
no,
you know that feeling you get of excitement. Wow, this is
yeah,
going to be great. I can't wait. I can't get. That's the feeling that you want to have about everything that you're setting a goal for. You want to have that inner feeling of excitement.
yeah,
That's called motivation. That is the motivation, that feeling. The procrastination is where you look at the step or the goal itself, and if you don't get that feeling of excitement, you've got to start investigating. You've got to go deep inside yourself and say, is that really for me? What will I get out of it? If I achieve that goal, what will it give me? Is that what I really want? What do I really want? Are there other things that I could do that get me that feeling of excitement and motivation? And, in a nutshell, that's what we're talking about. We're coming on to that.
yeah, and it
It's
is on the
all about what you
subconscious
really
level.
want. True purpose. If what you're aiming for is not your true purpose, you can find yourself procrastinating about taking the steps to get there. If it maps to your true purpose, who you really are and who you want to be, then you'll have that feeling of excitement. Like I said, as though you were going to see a rock show or whatever it is that
Mm.
you enjoy doing. If you get that feeling of excitement inside you, you're motivated. You will not procrastinate.
Yeah, and I think there's another aspect too. It's not just the excitement. Sometimes you don't feel confident enough to do something. You've got to go and make a phone call to somebody, and they're going to be, you're trying to get some result, and they're going to be antagonistic or whatever. If you feel like you're putting it off because you're not feeling like uh, that's going to be a good outcome, you think I'm going to say this and that and the other, and they're just going to say no, I'm not going to do it. I think there's something there that you can change in your subconscious, the way you're seeing the outcome as well, to get a better
That's
outcome. Because I've
and
done
that's
that
that's
before as well.
yeah, that is the truth as well. But that's what I mean. It's all about change. You've
Yeah.
got you've literally got to transform everything to do with it. You could ask yourself, are there other ways of achieving this without making that phone call?
I had an example of that this week, last week. Got thrown under the bus at work a bit, and everyone was supposed to talk to somebody in particular that I'm thinking, oh, I don't want to talk to this person because they're at this level, I'm at this level. They're just going to, tell me to take a hike. And all the people that could talk to them are going, I'm not doing it, I'm not doing it. And I sat there for probably, I was procrastinating, but I called it masterful inactivity, because what I needed to do was come up with a way of getting, this conversation without it being a problem. And I sat on it every day asking myself, how am I going to approach this person so that they listen to what I have to say and, I get a result. And after about 3 days, I woke up one morning and I went, I know exactly what I need to do. And it actually was sending an email, but sending them an email with this information and that information to build it. It was the right things to put in it.
Yeah,
And I started getting I got a response, but at least I've got, it wasn't 100%, but I've got traction. But what I'm saying is that was procrastinating with purpose.
With
Waiting for the right answer.
Yeah, but that's it. You've got to wait for the right answer, haven't you? You know, and if you didn't, what if the right answer never came?
Well, then I would have to, yeah, I would have to just man up and take a punt that whatever I did was like it's do or die. You know what I mean? Like I'd have to do
Yeah.
something
The different
and
thing
take
is,
whatever came.
you know, we live in a world where there are things that we have to do. And, you know, this isn't really what we're talking about today, in as much as like we have to do taxes.
Yeah,
Procrastinate all you like, but you're going to have to do it. There are things that you have to do in your work that you have to do whether you like it or not.
yeah,
The, okay, we could like take that down a road and say, well, you need to investigate yourself and say, is this the right job for me? If this job involves me having to do things that make me not feel good, then am I in the right job? I'm not going to go down that road. We don't need to ask that, but that's the truth of it. You know, if you're in a job where there are things that happen that you dislike and that you procrastinate about, or that you have to fight your way through to do it because it's not something that you enjoy or look forward to, you could really change that by saying, am I in the right job? Is this what I should be doing? Now that's a you know, a longer
that's another
process,
story. Yeah.
yeah, but you know, that is why the procrastination comes in. There are aspects of that job that are not right for you, and
Mm,
then you'd have to ask yourself, is the job right for me, where it's full of this sort of stuff that I
yeah.
go through every day?
Well,
I'm not asking you to do that, but you know,
no, no, no. I think the point I was trying to make was that what you were saying is you ask your subconscious, what can I do? What can I, how can I, if that's not what I want, I don't want to make that phone call. What else can I do to
that's the
get the
thing. It's the
result?
what
What
else
else
can
can I
I
do
do?
to get the result? And
Hmm.
so it appears it's to those around me, they'd say, well, she still hasn't made that phone call. She still hasn't made that phone call. But to me, I was uh, inactive on it,
Hmm.
procrastinating perhaps, but more while I let the solution distill and
Yeah.
come to me. And that's the
And
subconscious, isn't it? That's the subconscious giving
that's
you that.
exactly how it is. That's exactly how it is. And you should leave the subconscious to do it. You should leave that unconscious, subconscious mind
Yeah.
to do that job.
Yeah.
Don't allow that
Because
gatekeeper of your conscious mind to keep getting in the way, because that can be a
yeah,
problem.
because that gatekeeper,
That's something that I mentioned in the previous podcast as well. We talked about that. Me and Julie did. But you know, that gatekeeper will constantly come in. You've got to find the techniques of losing that. So like I said in the last podcast, the best times to program the unconscious mind to give it the ways of doing things
before
is
sleep.
just before you fall asleep, or that half hour after you've woken up, because you're still in that sort of dizzy, half asleep, half awake state. Those are the two best times. More than 3 times a day, you're probably going to overdo it. Twice a day is plenty, and those are the best times.
You know, the interesting thing about the subconscious, everyone's subconscious is their personal guide.
Mm,
But the brain has taken in so much of the world around us and the shoulds and musts and coulds and whatever that when it's a gatekeeper, it's often even not your own personal gatekeeper. It's the gatekeeper that the zeitgeist
well,
has
sure,
dictated.
yeah. I mean, but that's and that, again, that's another story, isn't it? But yeah, remember the conscious mind can only handle seven plus or minus two pieces of
Mm.
information at any one time. So when that steps in, you're in trouble when it comes
And
to
that's
things like
that's
this.
the thing. That's why hypnotherapy, well, I've used it,
You
is so
have, I know.
brilliant because it stops the gatekeeper. And so you're not thinking anything. You're getting down into that subconscious, and that subconscious has loads of great ideas.
Yeah, and they do turn up. They do turn up.
They do turn up.
Some of them straight away, some of them the next day, some of them the next couple of hours, or whatever. And the more you acknowledge, oh yeah, that's a good idea. Thank you, subconscious mind. The more you acknowledge it, the more it will find. It'll say, oh, you're feeling good when I give you that idea. I'll give you more. I'll go and find you more. It wants you to feel good. It wants you to feel safe, well protected, happy. So when it feels
Yeah.
like that's that, when it's realized, when the subconscious knows that you're having that feeling, it says, yeah, I'll give you more of that. And that's what
It's brilliant. And it does work. It absolutely does work.
yeah.
Um,
Right. Well, I think we better call this a day so that we stop going around in circles, which I'm about to do.
no, that's good. Good
My
chat.
my unconscious mind told me, so like, you're just going to go around in circles now, so you're probably best stopping this. And I'm acknowledging it. Well done, unconscious mind. Thank you very much. And thank you, Alice. I mean, it's been good. It's been great chatting with you about this.
Oh, I've enjoyed.
Really interesting. And as always, it's been a lot of fun. So I'd like to thank everybody for listening. And I'm going to hit the stop recording button now. So see you on the next podcast. Have fun, everyone. Bye-bye for now.
Bye-bye.